Brothers and sisters, welcome back to the diaspora, the discussions we have about the diaspora and the news that needs some opinions on coming from the diaspora. You know what I'm saying? So it's the PM Hour. We're going to get into another session for you. I'm Patrick.
I'm Tasha.
I'm Terry.
Oh, yeah. Peace and blessings. It's your boy, Garrett.
Yeah. And, actually, you know what? I just want to share with you guys. I came across this article in the Independent, right? So I'm not too familiar with the Independent, right? That magazine. I don't know if they lean, if they're very radical, if they're conservative or anything like that. But they just put out general articles. Like some of the stuff that I've seen them send before is pretty political. So like American politics. So they'll talk about, everybody talk about Donald Trump. They talk about like certain stuff like that. Right. And then a lot of times they try to include like worldly topics and things like that too. But anyway, so they have this article that got me interested. They were talking about the most dangerous countries in the world. And y'all already know most of those dangerous countries, right, are all the African countries and the countries in the Middle East, right? But all the safest countries are all the European countries and America. Also, America and Canada are one of those.
America, they serious?
And Canada is one of those safe countries.
And Canada.
I know y'all because we live in America, so you guys already know, and we're black, so you already know that part of it where we're saying, okay, America's safe. It also depends on who you're asking.
I feel like Afghanistan.
Safe for who? But then you think about, places like Canada. Canada's supposed to be, the friendliest place, and the streets are clean and things like that. But I know y'all been hearing a lot lately about all the police violence that they also have, and all the black people that's getting killed by the police, and all the indigenous people that get killed by the police in Canada. So we're not even gonna get started on that. But it just kind of, I don't know. I think this article, the reason why I wanted to share it with you guys is because part of it, I understand it might be funny, but it's not. Like, it just, the propaganda that's in this article, right? Like, just to start, all the dangerous countries are in Africa and the Middle East, right? We live here in America. Do you feel safe as a black man in America?
Absolutely not.
Right? So that's my point. Where I'm saying, okay, the propaganda they're pushing here, who are they pushing it to? Who are the people that believe in this stuff? How does it manifest in politics? How does it manifest in the media? Right? When you look in the black community, who are the people that's thinking, that agree with that? Who agree with that? As a black man in America, you feel like America is safe for you, right?
I feel like
how is America on that? How is America not on the list of one of the most dangerous places?
Well,
to live?
You brought up a good question, and let me say, because reading the article, and for those listening to this podcast, I'm going to put a link to the article so you can read for yourself. As far as this is concerned, because from what Terry just brought up, eloquently, well, they have criterias in the article. There's a criteria as to why they made this determination, And here's just a list of the criteria, which is, one is rated on political violence, social unrest, violence in general, and petty crime. Okay, those are the criteria and stuff like that, And it got me, because political violence, you want to name these African country, and it's rated as far as the worst because of political violence, when European countries place their hands in these countries through political means in order to gain control of the resources and everything to do to exacerbate the problems that these countries have. And you want to, because you do it indirectly, you want to wash your hands of it and say, okay, this country is the way it is, and name these countries as the lowest risk, the European countries, when those are the direct ones, a lot of them. Europe, that has a hand in making the problems happen over there. Okay, well, I got a rating for you. Okay, let's put out another rating. Let's see which countries spend the most money on pedophilia, spend the most money on raping children. Where does the majority of the money come from for child trafficking? European countries, and it's the top two. What's the top two countries? Europe and America.
Yes.
White Western society, Western people in society have an insatiable appetite for little children. I feel sorry for white kids, because that's what they really want.
And they
but they
have
traffic all these
on
other ones,
drugs, too.
these Indonesians and Asians and black kids and stuff like that. But I mean, let's talk about. You don't consider that violent? You don't consider that violent?
Thank you.
You can get out. This
your
article is
child
sort of
right
like
now?
this infuriating, and even further the point, because some people don't read things in subtext based on the context they put it in. What I mean by that is like, okay, well, you put an article there and you see little kids or anybody who's reading this say, well, you know what? I don't think I want to go to Africa. I don't think I want to go to Africa. It's the most violent. I might want to go to Europe or Greenland or Denmark or whatever the list put on here because it's the least
safer.
violent.
Safer.
I'm taking a risk with my life depending on where I go in these countries.
Now,
Right.
everybody watched
Right.
that movie Taken, right? And
Right.
where was that movie Taken take place?
They took her to Europe.
Thank
they
you.
snatched her up.
That shit wasn't taken in Africa.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't
That part.
taken in Africa.
That part. Most violent, get these criteria and stuff, So like, they put out this and put this propaganda to put into the minds of people they determine what is safe and what is not. And, if you keep it fair, put it across the board. Give me some more samples as to what. Because we know there's violence everywhere. Whenever you have people in an area, there's going to be violence.
Yes.
There's going to be violence.
Yes.
It's proximity. Violence is proximity.
And when violence happen and something do happen, you commit a crime, like they say here, or like they say the UK because it's so safe.
Right, sis. And
Where they go run to? They go run their ass to Canada.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened with what was her name? Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
And where the little
Tory
bitch was
Lanez.
from.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tory Lanez.
That
Yeah.
bitch flew his ass back to motherfucking Canada.
No,
They like
propaganda.
to label it as corruption.
Labels.
And that's
Yes.
what you see a lot of these countries. When people look at it, and if you want to think beyond just, what the media is telling you, if you go to this country, you get robbed, you get killed, whatever the case, right? However they're portraying the violence to you, right? And you're thinking that. And so they never go beyond that, right? Like, why are there crimes in these countries?
Yeah.
Why is there fighting? And also, too, where are they getting the weapons from to commit these crimes, right? They're not
that part.
sitting there
There you go.
manufacturing
That's a
these
good
weapons
question.
in here.
Yeah.
You know who are the biggest seller of guns and weapons? America.
Yes.
America.
Yes.
I mean, Russia too, but America.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So they're getting it from somewhere. Who's fueling this?
Yes. There
And
you go.
then a lot of
Call
times
that
you'll
political.
find in these Middle Eastern countries and African countries that are rich in resources, and then you get confused because it's like, oh, they have all these resources, then why are they so poor, or why is there so much violence in their country, right? Then you dig a little deeper. Who are the benefits of these resources? Who is it going to?
Right.
A lot of times it's not going to their country. Hence the reason for their unrest and for their violence.
And also the reasons
you
why
feel like you have diamonds or you have oil. You should be the richest country. You should be able to benefit from that. And then you look around and
Which
you
is
go,
rich because you're eating good.
exactly.
Take from those countries
right?
you're eating
You would
good.
think that. Thank you. That's
These
the point
people
what
are
I'm
going
saying.
over there and
they
taking
never
their
look
stuff.
deeper at exactly.
Come on
Why
now.
would you have unrest in your country? Why would it be, other people would deem it as
You're
violent?
economically stable.
Exactly.
And let me say,
You're
and that's a big part of it, isn't it?
Because of the theft, right, from
We're-
other countries
but-
that's going on in your
Excuse
country.
me, let me just say, because we're here in America.
And that's been happening for years.
Because we see
Centuries.
similar to what happened in Africa, black people in African countries and South America and America, what is the commonality? That black people seem to be, wherever they are, seems to be high in violence, poverty, and everything else, Everywhere we are, look, in America. So we can relate here in America, and just in case you're not thinking that far in it, because, okay, over here, large part of the reason why we're in the situation we are is what? Economic. Black people, we're disadvantaged here in so many ways in America. That economically, imagine the people being in poverty their entire existence. Of course, violence is going to happen. What do you think?
Yeah.
Of course, violence is going to happen in poverty. And here's a fact: of all races, all people were when poverty is high, violence is high. When poverty is low, violence is low. People got to eat.
Yes.
So don't give me no list of who's the most violent and dangerous and stuff. You know what? Matter of fact, here's also a show too. Not just black kids, but white people who read this article too. It tells them to stay away from those countries too.
Yeah,
and see them as that.
Yeah.
When they stay your ass out of Africa, they don't give a fuck.
Thank you.
But what I'm saying, and this is like another reason I also brought it up, they are not staying out of Africa.
Oh
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's
It's
true
different.
too. That's
I
true.
was just gonna say that. It's a different time, but
Who is
I was
this
gonna say
message
that. That was
for? Because they not falling for it.
That's
they
true.
not
That's
falling
true.
for it.
That's true.
To them,
No, it's
Africa
not. I
is
was
the
gonna say
new
that.
frontier. Remember, remember they had already benefit off of Africa before with the slavery and the resources.
Blood diamonds, the blood diamonds.
Did that.
Yes.
Then it seemed like there was like a
no, it's
down,
only in certain places.
Downfall,
it's only in certain places.
It's only certain places. As like, oh, this.
It will never be in
unsafe
South
to
Africa,
go, right?
It will never be in South Africa.
Now, who is hearing that it's unsafe to go?
Right.
To me, this is just my opinion. You ain't gotta love it,
Yeah.
but it just seems like it's promoted to blacks or Africans that need to be going back. You're sitting here thinking, oh, it's unsafe to go because they not staying out.
Right.
It's the new
That's
frontier to them.
The Chinese too. The Chinese not staying out.
Exactly.
Yeah, they go.
Well, why are they heavy in Africa? That's what I'm saying. Nobody's really
because they're trying to take
you know
over.
What? You know what? Another point to just
fool that's staying out and going, oh, it's unsafe for me.
Well,
it should be the motherland, but I'm not going because it's unsafe.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily, I mean.
Some of us are thinking that.
The thing is, what I kind of want to say is really to add to the point. I really want to add to the point, but I kind of want a little angle. I kind of want to say, I kind of want to take it to the angle where it's like, I mean, look at how they have Africa. Remember, look at the map of Africa. Remember, Africa is probably the most segregated country all in the entire planet. Yeah. There's so many different countries in Africa. Actually, that continent has so many different countries that no other continent really has. Yeah. So to add to your point, but really like trying to throw a curve to the point that you're making, think about it. They're trying to only target certain places in Africa. Since it's so divided and segregated, I don't think stories like this would ever come out in South Africa, right? I think South Africa will be promoted in a different kind of sense, right? Because the idea is to still bring that attraction of white Europeans to the country. Remember, they're not leaving, so they're still going to come somewhere. But again, if we can still talk about like Sudan, and if we can still talk about Nigeria and North Africa, and if we can get you to look bad at those places, then because another reason why is those places that they really talk about that they don't want you to go have a high content of black people also.
And some resources. And some resources that they want.
Heavy resources. Heavy resources. Like the most premier resources.
Right.
So again, the idea is I'm not going against what you're saying, but the idea is to say that, maybe the idea is to keep Africa so segregated that you can pinpoint parts where you say it's much more dangerous, but you're going to still promote those other ones because the tourist still has to come here. The money still has to come here. Remember, we still have that outside Asiatic help still coming into this inside Africa as well.
That is
so
correct.
We can't really,
I believe that.
not look at the strategic, systematic world. Like so, that's like that's a systematic thing that they kind of have going.
It's interesting about
it's kind of
wherever whites are supposed to be peaceful, so South Africa wouldn't be put on the
So the same thing happens. The same thing happens. Right. Now on a smaller scale, the same thing happens in Brazil. Brazil is probably one of the top most tourist countries, right? But not just that. Right, Brazil is always seen, and what they always tell you, don't go. It's gangs and here's and stuff like that too, right? But a lot of the beaches is really trying to attract people. That's their whole thing, right? And some of the beaches still sells. So again, a lot of the places they don't want you to go is a lot of places where the Africanos are, a lot of where the black people are.
Absolutely.
Because again, we want to make sure that this is a Pan-African thing that we're saying. I know we're talking about Africa to stick to the subject. We're talking about Africa, and we're talking about the different the places that they say are the most dangerous. But don't get it twisted. This is a Pan-African eye of what they look at of the most places that you don't want to go to, but which is where most black people are or most Africans are. You know what I mean? This is the kind of idea what they don't want you to have on certain scales. You know what I mean? Let's just not forget about that, man.
So
keep the community.
Looking at this article. It's crazy because, the way they word it, and people got to pay attention to wording because also they said parts of Nigeria.
Yes.
Parts of Nigeria.
That's
okay. I mean, I kind of take a little, because the article says the country. You're talking about whole country. Don't give me parts of Nigeria, but we know, as my sister Natasha, brought up earlier, because Nigeria is starting to be getting global recognized for definitely for, the film industry that's coming up there and it be socially acceptable globally on a certain level. So, so we'll say, okay, parts of it is not good still. So just stay away from those parts, but the rest is good. And don't give me parts. What's the whole of Nigeria? Don't put up the same thing. And then you want to make a sweeping generalization about most of Europe is low risk. So no. What about France? Don't get France is all up in Africa. Right. And they cause a lot of problems over there because they control over it. But then you don't want to. Where's France in the whole initiative and Italy and all these other ones? Don't. So these whole statements and everything, these lists, but we know this, and I'll say this before we go. It's like one thing you have to keep in mind that white society like to use labels as a weapon. They define our world when they label things for us. They want to label to the world that black regions are violent. Well, it weighs. It has a psychological effect, when people hear and see these things, especially if you're not conscious enough to understand what's being told to you in subtext of the true meaning of what's being conveyed. You take it at face value and don't think for yourself. But okay.
Man, let's not be oblivious to the obvious.
Right.
You know what
and
I'm
don't
saying?
be too close-minded of what's going on. That would just be my opinion of the whole situation, is that we cannot take everything as face value of what we see. Because what we see here, especially in this independent subtext of what we seeing here today in this reading, I wouldn't take this shit with a grain of salt. I wouldn't even wipe my ass with it.
Oh, right. Get out of here.
Before I get a motherfucking paper cut.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is to this, please don't. So before we take this and run with it, I would just say more into this here. For us as a people, like I keep on saying, for us just to stick together. Do not just look at it and say, oh, I cannot hear, and go back to our people and not go and run, because we all know we come from Africa. When I tell people, oh, we come from Africa. Oh, no, I ain't from no motherfucking Africa. Bitch, yes, you are.
Them's the one that'll just read the article and stay away from
and just
country.
try to run and try to run from
better.
it. And that's what I'm saying. We cannot do that. We all have to stick as a whole. But anyway, just let us all stick together as a whole. But at the end of the day, we all need to just stick together, people.
So, and Terry,
we
do.
as one.
And you know what I want to say. My whole point for bringing up this article is that the only way that we can win is just to pass it on to the next generation. It's all about education, right? And we're educated. You pass that on to yours, and we just keep going like that, because the way that this was promoted to us was through propaganda. We didn't learn this. We didn't wake up and learn this.
Yes.
This was promoted to us through education. Yes. So we just
propagated, promulgated, all the kind of ways. Yeah.
That's why I always bring up the media. I always bring up the system. I always bring that up because that's how you drill it into our consciousness. You can't. You don't just naturally turn against your own. You don't just naturally turn against yourself.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You have to be taught that.
Yeah. And it's a daily conditioning too.
And so what we got to do is just be conscious, and that's why things like these are important, because we need to drill it into ourselves and the next generation. And the more you keep doing that, then that's when you gain a consciousness and you win. And that's all we're trying to do here, people. Yeah. That's all we're trying to do.
That's absolutely true. Think for yourself, people. You know, we're going to keep being the counter to the bullshit that they be trying to put out here, you know what I'm saying, about people. You know, so you got to have a opposing opinion.
Yes, all the time. Yes.
This is the PM Hour. You know, like us on all the, platforms. We out there, just put in the PM Hour. We across the board, y'all.
Spotify.
Leave your opinions, read the article, YouTube. And comment.
And we love the comments, even if
One
you
love,
disagree,
y'all.
especially when you disagree.
There you go.